What could you accomplish financially before December 31st? What if you had just 150 days to make meaningful progress towards your financial goal? Whether your goal is saving more, reducing debt, lowering taxes, or protecting your family, the decisions you make before year end can have a lasting impact. Welcome to Paladin Financial Talk. I'm your host, Nikki Foley, and I'm joined by featured advisor, Ellie Robison. Welcome, Ellie.
Thank you, Nikki, for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to have you. Today, we are going to talk about uncovering hidden money in 150 days.
Oh, yeah.
So, what we did last time is this is you were kind of the second episode into our 4-part series. And so, in our first one, what we did last time in our episode, Jeff Quick, kicked us off with just one thing you could do before the year end to make an impact on your financial plan. And so he gave us a little nugget, and we have been a little more specific here where we're talking about uncovering hidden money. But so in this episode, what I want us to discuss is how we can improve our financial picture. Doesn't always mean that we have to earn more income, but instead, we're going to explore practical ways to improve cash flow, eliminate waste, redirect money towards goals that matter most. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. So again, 4-part series. The advisors at Paladin Financial are sharing these practical strategies. And today we're uncovering hidden money in 150 days. Okay, Ellie, anything you want to share about your background or why you're excited about this question specifically, or should we just dive right in?
You know what? That's a good question because I think what we're going to talk about here today pertains to anyone of all ages, right?
Yep.
Sometimes we talk about demographics that might be pre-retiree. Sometimes it's already when you're retired. Sometimes it's when you're just getting started.
Yeah.
But I think this is for everyone. So this is going to be a good one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and dive in. And we're going to do this in a question and answer format, if that sounds okay. So the first one, let's just do this.
Okay.
Where do you find or most often find hidden money when reviewing a client's finances?
There's a few, Nikki. I came up with multiple answers on this one. Number one, let's start with our green money, excess cash just sitting around.
Yeah.
So sometimes I see a lot of cash sitting in low interest bearing accounts. Number one. In that same realm, sometimes I see cash just sitting in investment accounts and clientele don't even realize that they're not invested in their investment accounts.
Yeah.
So those were big ones that I see a lot. Hand in hand with the investment account, sometimes I see that people's investments aren't aligned with their current goals. So this might be an example of what if your investment sent you cash to live off of instead of it's just growing on paper. So reworking your investment strategy to align with your goals is like hidden money essentially, and just not optimizing your investment strategy to align with different tax types can also hurt long term. Another one that I thought of was insurance too. So insurance policies that haven't been reviewed in years, for example, home and auto, sometimes people stick with the same carrier for 30 years.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that it's a bad thing. It's just make sure that maybe you're shopping around every once in a while. Same with annuities. That's something that we are going to review here at Paladin. This is an analogy that I don't remember where I heard it from and I didn't come up with it, but annuities will evolve over time, just like machinery or technology, right? So like the original telephone back in the day was hooked up to a wall and it had the rotary, right? That's what you called it.
Yep.
I wasn't around for that. And nowadays everyone has a phone in their back pocket. Like their annuities evolve over time, and sometimes it makes sense to refresh the policy that you have into something new. Life insurance is a little different, where usually you lock in a lower premium the sooner you do it, but that doesn't mean that there's opportunity to refresh if you still need it, and maybe you just get rid of it if you don't need it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like as you're going through these, I want to interject with example after example
You
after
can,
example.
go ahead.
No, this is fantastic. Maybe I'll save it up as you're going through it, and I'll give a few examples when we get to the end.
Well, this next one, employer benefits, I thought of you with your background on this. I was doing a little bit of research, and Vanguard, they release a How America Saves publication. It's a research publication that they released. They just released their 25th edition. This was actually in 2025. And they had uncovered that more people than ever are enrolling into their employer plans at work. And so we will include a PDF link of that here today. However, what it doesn't really address is that not everyone is getting the full match.
Mhm.
I've also seen that mistake a lot where people are like, oh yeah, I'm contributing to my 401k, where I say, okay, well, based off of the employer benefits package that you provided, you're not getting the full match.
Yeah.
So understanding how that matching works and getting all of that money is crucial. Think of it as free money, right?
Yeah. I use this one over and over. I can feel like a broken record, but people spend somewhere between 13 and 17 minutes on renewing their benefits on an annual basis. And to take full advantage of everything that you're being offered through your employer, just like you talked about, things evolve and change. It can't be a set it and forget it thing, because it is coming. There's new things that are being offered all the times. AI is playing a really big role in employee benefits now and being able to tell you what's a better fit for you. And so if anything, if this is my simple piece of advice, because most people are still in some capacity, or if it's not them, it's a grandchild or a child, stop and spend time on your employer benefits, because that employee or that employer is giving you free money in some form or fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Don't spend 13 minutes on it. Take your time and actually figure out what those benefits are.
I knew that one would
I'm
resonate
sorry.
with you. No,
I had to put a plug in.
That is your passion. Like,
Yep.
that is what you feel strongly about. And the last one that I could think of was people not taking advantage of credit card rewards.
Yeah.
I see that a lot. Sometimes people are scared to use credit cards. Obviously, you have to be responsible with it, but like, you can be smart with it and pay yourself back with the cash rewards or using the perks towards travel that you are inevitably going to take, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna go on vacation at some point.
Yeah.
So be strategic with it.
Like I said, I could give you an examples in every one of these categories, but as you said, cash sitting around, a lot of times people don't know how much cash they should hold on to before they move it to the next type of account. So let's say you have real cash sitting like a checking or saving. They know that they should have a high yield savings account or a money market potentially, but they don't know when to start putting some of that over there. And then once that builds up, they don't really know when to take the next step. So it
Yeah.
seems commonplace, but boy, it's not. It's just like, give me a rule of thumb. And so
Yeah.
I agree with that one. I was meeting with a client last week, and she's in a situation that every year she takes a kind of the same flat number. Her house is paid off to pay for her taxes or property, like the insurance side of
Yeah.
things. And so same number. And when I looked at it, she has an annuity that she could annuitize, and she could be getting roughly the same amount. Well, the way that annuity is set out, it's set to pay for life. So instead of drawing down on our investment account, maybe it's time to
Trigger
look at
income.
You got it. And so it just takes a moment to think through and weigh pros and cons. And all of a sudden you're sitting in a situation where there was some hidden money, and
Yeah.
it just takes a little strategy behind some of this. And a lot of times it's hard to identify it on your own, and you just need a second set of eyes on, what you have in front of you. So,
Yeah.
well, Ellie, you did a fantastic job on that one. And so let's move to the second question of what spending habits quietly erode financial progress without people realizing it. And I also am like, I can think of 10 things right off the top of my head.
No one's perfect. That's the thing. And it really is a balanced approach that you have to look at it. So one, small expenses can pile up. I think this one is the one that most people know that they're probably doing. They're forgetting about the subscriptions that they don't use. And all of these little holes in their bucket is draining their cash flow, essentially. Convenience spending, though, I think also falls under this. And I don't think people really think about that one. So convenience spending as in the DoorDash and the Uber Eats, where they are paying a surcharge to have food delivered to them. It's saving them time in cooking and cleaning, of course, but can you afford it, right? So DoorDash actually released an article on their consumers. And so they had reported 72% of consumers earning under $75,000 a year placed more than one order in the previous month.
Okay.
It's not cheap. Have you?
No.
Do you order?
I hope that I have. I don't know if I've told this story. 2 stories. Like I said, Ellie, every one of these I could give you multiple stories. So 2 things. One, do you ever start to put an order in because you haven't brought anything for lunch, and then you get to the charges and all of a sudden you realize your Chick-fil-A or your Chipotle or whatever is like over $20
Yeah.
for just like 6 nuggets and a tea. And
Yeah.
you're like, whoa. And I cannot pull the trigger. And I've already spent 20 minutes sitting there trying to figure out. And then you get to the end. I'm like, I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
I guess I'm starving today.
Yep. I will eat some crackers.
Yeah.
Whatever I
I
can
have
find.
done that. Yeah.
Yes. But I think that the generation, a younger generation, when this is pretty much what they have known, they maybe are more inclined to do this than
Mhm.
some of the older generations that have known a world before this and haven't known
Yeah.
the convenience. And I was traveling at one point and I was meeting with a gal and she was talking about how COVID and her son, he was high school, but ordering lunch in, and it took just only about a week or a week and a half, and she realized there's all these expenses, and it was DoorDash. He
Oh.
was like, didn't have anything to eat and didn't know what he should do, and so he just was DoorDashing everything.
Oh,
And
no.
so, yeah, so it's there's great stories to go with any one of these examples that you're
It
giving us
adds
here.
up. Yeah.
Matt did an episode, if anybody wants to dig into our archives, that was on just going through and making a date with yourself annually, or at least, on a recurring basis, to look at all those small charges.
Yeah.
And so we have a full episode on that. If somebody's like, give me some direction, half the time though,
Good.
it's just setting something on your calendar and saying,
Doing
I got to
it.
do
Yeah.
this. So absolutely. Anything else on that one, Ellie, before I go to the next
Well,
question?
yeah, I mean, I think on the flip side of it, it's like the large expenses that people commit to, large expenses being cars and houses, right? So
Yeah.
cars are massively expensive and can take up a massive amount of your cash flow
Mhm.
every single month, and houses too, in the sense of that hopefully is not a depreciating asset, but sometimes people don't factor in the property taxes and insurance going up over time on it.
Yeah.
And those are bigger commitments that are usually eating at your cash flow a lot faster than the smaller spending, actually.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
not appropriately planning for those bigger expenses is something that I've seen commonly in people who might be lacking excess cash flow at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, I'll go to our next question here. So, how many families redirect existing cash flow towards savings, debt reduction, or investing? Do you feel like that's something that you see, or kind of give us some perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, how I see it is the goal isn't to eliminate everything that you
Yeah.
enjoy, right? It's making sure that your spending reflects your priorities rather than just happening on autopilot and
Mhm.
not revisiting over time. So paying yourself first, I think, is going to be a good, goal for yourself, and making sure that every dollar has its job, right? So instead of seeing what's left over at the end of the month, maybe prioritizing putting money into your investments on a monthly basis and treating it as a bill, a reoccurring
Mhm.
bill. And so that is, I think, an easy way to silo that cash flow into the savings or into the debt reduction, and investing over time.
I would say that, we talk about Dave Ramsey from time to time, but he has such good perspective on the debt reduction. And there's different philosophies out there, but most of the time, like the snowball is one of the concepts that he focuses on.
Mhm.
Whatever debt reduction strategy you take, typically it comes down to being intentional and making really dedicated actions towards something. And I think that's what I heard you say as you talk about things. It's reflecting on your priorities. It's making it a priority. And Ellie, I have to applaud you. I know that you are a first of the month. Look at my expenses.
yeah.
Yes. And so you are, I think there's a lot of people like you, but a lot of people that aren't like you and they just
Yeah.
let life happen to them. And so what I really heard you say is be intentional, and then sometimes just put the action into it, and then you set it and forget it. It's happening with you. So if you make 401k contributions or whatever the example might be, once you do it and it's on autopilot, you don't even see that as income sitting
Yeah.
in, as an option to spend. So
Mhm.
automate as much as you can along the way on some of this.
Yeah.
What's one change almost anybody could make this month that would improve their financial position? And this is kind of your big aha question at the end. If we were to do one thing this
Yeah.
month that they could take action on.
I think this is going to be the obvious one, but this isn't my takeaway. Okay. I think the obvious one is, of course, please review your budget, right? Like we've said it a couple times.
Ellie on the 1st every month. You know what she's doing.
Yes. Review your budgeting, obviously. But I was thinking about this, and I think shifting your vocabulary to avoid saying we can't afford that or I can't afford that, and shifting it to that's not a priority right now.
Ooh, that's good.
Is a good like foundational start to like get the ball rolling on actually taking action, right?
That is fantastic.
I mean, I think of it as a form of discipline, just like going to the gym. Nikki, I don't know if our listeners out here, but Nikki Foley is very dedicated to the gym. Okay.
Well,
you might not have a budget every single month, but you were in the gym and you were dedicated there. And so think about budgeting and think about your philosophy with money in a sense of, if I make small incremental changes over time, it's just going to snowball into a great financial plan later on.
Yeah. That's a good point, that you have to take it sometimes back to what you know and what registers, and look somewhere in your life where you do have discipline, and why is that easy for you? What makes that resonate? So if money is hard on some of these things that we've talked about today, how can you position it in a perspective or use words that resonate?
And in a positive way, right? Too. So it's a positive, intentional decision-making outlook as opposed to deprivation or lack of control when you say, I can't afford this. So shift that. An example can be, a new SUV isn't our priority this year because we're focusing on maxing out retirement contributions.
And you feel so good. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. When I hear you say that, I'm like, well, me too. Like, I want to be a part of that game. I do that sometimes. I think clothes are the biggest waste of money, but I like to look good.
Oh, yeah.
And so there is this game that I have to play with myself. Could I go buy it? Probably. But I would rather do something else with it. And so it makes me feel less bad about the whole conversation that's going on in my head if I'm thinking about what I want that money to go to instead. And so you have said it so much more eloquently than the chatter that goes on in my head. But that's great. That's not a priority right now.
Yeah.
And what you said with that SUV example was fantastic.
You can also marry this goal with meeting with your financial planner. Like, you don't have to wait until your annual review. You can call and say, hey, can I set up a semi-annual little Zoom meeting? Can I swing by for 30 minutes? I want to review how my expenses have changed, or I want to review some of these goals, and just see that you can bounce off, any ideas off of your financial planner. We do this day in and day out. We more than likely are going to be able to identify additional opportunities besides these blanket recommendations that we're giving out now, right? Like,
absolutely.
This hopefully pertains to everyone, but we're going to have even more tailored advice to specific circumstances.
Yeah. I find that what I like to do with people that are in a state of transition, rather than waiting an entire year, because there is so much transition. Great. Let's do another phone call in 3 months or 6 months or whatever's appropriate for the situation. But there's so much more momentum when you know you're going to have a quick phone conversation, and you can adjust in almost real time as you're going through a scenario like that.
Yeah.
Well, Ellie, this has been fantastic. Anything that you would like to add to this conversation about finding hidden money and what to do with it, and the places that you're not looking for it, but there it is when you put the right lens to this?
I think if there was anything that was confusing to our listeners, or anything that was like, I want to learn more about this, I say just call us, right? Whether you work with us or not, we would be happy to sit down and give you a complimentary consultation and see what we can uncover for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ellie said it right there, that if this is something that you were thinking or saying aloud, this sounds like me, go out to our website at paladinfinancial.com and click the booking link. You can also go to our podcast website at paladinfinancialtalk.com. It also has a booking link, but dig into this conversation. And I'm going to make a challenge to you here as we wrap up. So over the next 150 days, don't just listen to these episodes. Pick one financial goal and take one action after each show. So by December 31st, what our hopes are is that you have taken 4 meaningful steps towards a stronger financial future. And so Jeff Quick, he started with, if you're going to do just one goal before the end of the year, and he really went into some of those laser-like things that you can do towards the end of the year with withdrawals and contributions and so forth, and tied it more back to a tax conversation, where Ellie, you've done a fantastic job of saying, pay attention to the ahas and the moments that are right in front of us, and finding money that you might not even be looking through that lens. And so that kicks us off. So again, you have a challenge for all of our listeners. And this week, complete one action before the next episode, and we'll keep building on these together. So if you're sitting there again and you want to book an appointment, you can certainly go out to our websites at paladinfinancial.com or paladinfinancialtalk.com. Or the simplest way is also pick up the phone, 651-842-8406. It's not the simplest for everybody, but for some, that might be the easiest. The download that I'm making available this month also to go along with this episode is our SMART Goals worksheet. And I know that I haven't spent a whole lot of time, certainly in this episode, but I've brought it up in other ones. But a SMART goal requires you to pick a goal and then be really specific, make it measurable, and each one of the letters in SMART actually stands for something. You have to get the right people around you on board. But what ends up happening when you start to get specific and measurable, and you have to bring other people along and it's tangible, guess what happens? Some of those goals, you find that they're not as important as you thought they might have been originally. And so that is our download as we're talking about what you're going to get done in the next 150 days. That SMART goal template might be something that's beneficial for you. So, well, thank you for following along today. Thanks for listening in. If you want to find more content, go to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, our Instagram page. We are in all the different places. But also, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us, Ellie, and we'll see you on the next episode.